following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
On this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr., we welcome PBA50 superstar Ryan Shafer back to the show for his second appearance. He recently bowled on the new certified string pins at a PBA50 regional. We'll hear all about it from his perspective, what he thought about bowling on them, if he thinks they are the future, and if he likes them or not. We'll also be talking about his recent frustrations with the sport, including its leadership, and we will have the imbecile of the week. Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. starts now.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Ledrup here.
Jeff Riggles here from 11thframe.com.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Shafer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr Ocho, and of course JP Jr.
Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation.
Strike, and they claim it. Similarly does it.
So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr Ocho. Dr Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5. I just love how that guy says. That's why I started saying like that. I love how our announcer guy says it. Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois. This is episode 120. I can't believe we've done 120. You know, Johnny P has never, ever done anything for 120 consecutive weeks. Ever. I'm just saying. I don't know if he's done anything consecutive other than this for like 5 consecutive weeks. Anyway, we are here. We are live on YouTube, Johnny Petraglia's Facebook page, and our Twitter handles, or X handles, Straight Up 5 Podcast and at Rad Rob Gaming. Nico is in the house. What's going on, brother? We also have Carlene. Good evening, Carlene. We have Michael Jennings. Chuck Ritchie, what's going on? David Handlewich, what's going on? Yeah, we started late, brother. We started late. That's my bad. Mike Ruther, what's going on, brother? What's going on, brother? Crambone. Nico, I'm pretty sure it's going out to his Facebook page. I'm pretty sure this time. Yeah. Sorry for last week. Staying Man's in the house. All of our usuals are here, plus some newbies. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Pete Cow, what's going on, brother? All right. Let's not ado any further because I don't like to do much. I've used that like several times. I'm really out of jokes here. So let's introduce my first co-host. He is the man with the shiniest mask. He is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5, the resident house hack, the greatest hack in Howell Lane's history. Dr. Ocho. What's going on, Och?
We're not limited to Howell Lane, just any lanes, because nobody even wants to challenge. So speaking of ado, when's the last time you did a shower? I'm just curious. Was it? If it's a week ago, I'm fine with that. I'm telling you that right now. It's totally fine. I'm good with it because that's all I do.
Why do we have a different angle? That's very weird.
Don't worry about shit. Don't worry about anything. Aesthetics are not the issue, except for these bad boys.
You haven't worked out since before COVID, and you
Doesn't matter. That's because I still. And happy birthday, Nicole.
Happy birthday, Nicole.
I do the right things in life. Rob, you trimmed up your gimmicks on your cheeks there, didn't you?
I did. and I'm kind of growing it out.
Is that intentional or like weed whacker-ish?
Do you not like it?
I think it's spectacular. I think I can. You know what? Now at least the investigation of where your neck is can begin.
Right here. Not much of it.
You can't do that. We're not allowed to help you in your investigation. This is not that's called interference.
Ryan Shafer's best friend. Ryan Shafer's best friend is in the house. Johnny Petraglia Jr. Where have you been? Have you been there the whole time?
I'm actually looking for a light switch. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah. I got it.
You do it. I'll take care of it. You do it. We just realized we don't even have a light turn on. Which, by the way, huge shout out to, as always, the director, owner, stud of Sweet Blends for not only always taking care of us, but always taking care of me on actual personal level. So special shout out to George. Just simply wanted to rock the shirt for a minute. At some point, I'll turn around so you can catch the QR. What is it called? QR code.
Turn around so I can see your
like sheep's wool.
Turn around so I can see your lats again. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, I mean, I would block out the fucking screen, dude.
Oh my god!
I can't.
There's not enough room in the.
I mean, I'm looking pretty decent these days. You know, it's beach time, man. So I get to actually cut instead of bulk.
That's true. So, we all do that right now.
And by the way, I will say this, going off what Ocho said, you do look beautiful. And I feel like somebody else said you were Manscaped. I believe it was the Chuck Ritchie.
It was the Chuck Ritchie. Yes, there is only one. Thank God. Because
there is only one. Yeah, and there can only be one.
There can be only one. Remember Ocho used to do that? Remember that, Ocho?
Yes, of course, Rob. He just got so giddy. That was a thing we did back on our show way back when, and he was just on
the Turtle Show.
Yep. He's just a fun fella.
There can be only one.
Okay.
Anyway,
we can be only one guest also, so let's bring him in, Rob. How about that?
Who's going to leave here if we don't get him in here? So, yeah, no. I do have a quick little video. It's not a 15-minute recap video. We already did it the first time he was on.
Ocho doesn't have to pay the electric bill. The electric company pays Ocho, by the way, Nico. Remember that.
Yeah, Nico likes to start shit. I'm just saying. Here is a quick little video of the string debacle from Ryan's match against Walter Ray Williams Jr. at the PBA50 regional.
Shafer for the second one in the 10th. Kind of stepped it out. Oh. Shafer for the second one in the 10th. Kind of stepped it out. Oh. 10th. Kind of stepped it out. Oh.
I like the slow.
Every time we're like, all right, it's taking it out. It's going to wipe it out. Here it is. Here's the messenger.
Here is the one and only Ryan Shafer. Good evening, Ryan. Thanks for being here, brother.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing well.
Always a pleasure, sir. Good to have you here again, buddy.
Is that shot going to stick in your craw for a while, or are you over it?
No, not at all. It didn't when it happened, because when I bowled 2 days on it, and I hadn't seen anybody get a messenger. And as soon as I threw that shot and I saw the 10 pin, I'm like, well, that's a 10 pin. But then I saw the pin coming across, and I said, holy shit, I might actually get one.
You'd be the first one, finally.
Right. And I saw it come across. I go, I'm going to get it. And it stopped. Apparently there was a string on the deck. And the string on the deck stopped the pin.
Words we're going to have to get used to. Oh, man. Dead string. String on the
strings,
deck.
Yeah. Yep. I can't wait for Rob Stone to call that. Oh, dead string.
But all right, but Ryan, you were very vocal about like everything you actually just said, but you said all the way up to that point that you didn't mind the string.
It was even field, basically.
Or am I incorrect when I?
No, you're. I mean, I didn't mind it after the fact, because the best thing I can relate it to is when we bowled on the gold pins. Okay, you got to be more high flush, and the light hit still carries. It just carries different. It looks different just because of the way the pins tumble, But I actually don't mind them, because I think you got to be more high flush, and I aim high flush. I'm not like the younger guys that aim light and and if they go high flush, it's a mistake. I mean, I got to hit.
So is that what it is? Mixers are the detriment to the string. I mean, just from what you've seen, because I mean, even me as a league guy, the light carry in a house shot is a bread and butter for me because they dance so much.
Yeah, I mean, you can get the light hit, but you're not getting the messengers.
You're not getting the wall shot. You're not okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fun to know too.
The light hit looks more like a crumbled bucket, is what it looks like.
Right. I feel there's more weight to it. Almost, it seems like.
Yeah, right.
Ryan, have you noticed anything with spare combinations or even split combinations that the strings are like more beneficial? Like I remember sitting with the newly crowned playoffs champion or finals champion Anthony Simonson, and when we were at Rev Rates here in New Jersey, he actually had the 710 set up on the string lane at Rev Rates lane 5, and he was trying to see if he could maneuver the pin and the string to take out the 7-pin on a 710.
Now it's a whole new freaking.
Do you notice
thing.
anything like that when it comes to shooting splits or spares that are normally like missed more than made?
I think everybody saw the clip of the guy that left like the 245 or the bucket and he hit the 5 and it came out of the back. But that pin came out of the back. That really didn't have anything to do with the string. I didn't see anybody make a split because of the string. My perception was it was going to be hard to chop a spare. Like if you threw it to 610, for whatever reason, that was my perception. It would be hard to chop a spare, but you could chop it. I just think the misconception is that people know about the recreational strings,
right?
And and
not the PBA strings,
right. They've seen the clown show with the strings hitting the pins and knocking stuff over that shouldn't go. And actually, the certified strings make it harder to strike, not easier. There's really not anything that put
them on the house pattern then, because that's all we've been talking about since this show started. Really,
you know what, and that's what I said. I said maybe the advent of string pins in this manner will stop the tricking of lanes.
Yes.
Like the amount of oil that's being put on the lane and with speed bumps and all the crap they do to stop people from hitting the pocket, maybe, just maybe, the lanes will soften up and it'll be like it used to be where you got to manipulate your hand to get the ball to go through the pins instead of having to manipulate everything and change balls.
Or instead of having the correct ball, having 37 balls and you finally match up with one.
Correct. And I think that would be a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It's kind of like bowling with urethane too. I mean, when you can throw urethane, those little tweaks, make a difference. I mean, if I leave a half 10, I can tweak my hand and get that 10 out of there. If I leave a half 10 with a resin ball on the crap we bowl on, I got to change balls. I can't. That ball's not striking. It's a waste of time to try to get it to strike because then you're going to split. So
I guess eventually we'll have enough data over the course of time, but you guys are the first ones to do it, and you're already finding the trends. You knew the messenger wasn't going to hit, so you already know what to expect. You got to go high flush. I mean, that's already something in your memory bank in one tournament. So I guess we'll get more info as we go along.
I think what needs to be done to make it okay across the board, because I think it would be great for the PBA to bowl on them. I really do. And I was very skeptical at first. I mean, I went in with an open mind, but I was still a little skeptical. I think what needs to be done is league bowlers are going to hate it. League bowlers going to hate it.
As they should, because your average is not 210, you sucky bowler. I'm sorry.
Right.
And I'm that guy.
they're just going to despise it, okay? So if there's a way to kind of get a midway point between the recreational strings and the certified ones, just to soften that up a little bit, I think that would be great for league. I think if the PBA bowls on it, we should bowl on exactly what we just bowled on. I
will say this, like when I was a kid, Ryan, and I used to go to Carolier Lanes on Friday night to bowl the majors, I would go there to watch bowlers like Sean Riccardi and Mike Reasoner because they averaged 230 when like the second best guy in the league averaged in either the low 220s or the high 210s. It was impressive to watch. And it's almost like you were going back to the gold pins in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's almost like the string pins have like inadvertently tried to level the playing field. Like where it comes more of a focus on precision shot making, which obviously the kids nowadays, they do it just like you have done your entire
But also, the guys with 10 boards are not going to carry like they would.
Exactly.
So it's almost like it's knocking people down a few pegs, too.
That's exactly. And then, like you said earlier about the goal.
I don't want to interrupt, but I
go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
I think that's the most important thing that I forgot to say. Now, that was a 3-squad tournament, A squad, B squad, C squad. I both C squad qualifying. When I watched A and B squad, the preferred angle to carry was straighter into the pocket. Okay? When I bowled C squad, I had it in my mind that I had to do that. If I hooked it too much, I was going to get tapped the whole time. And the first game, I shot 180 because the last 4 frames, I kept going high because I didn't want to open up the lane. And I just said to myself, you know what, you're going to have to open up the lane or else you're going to shoot 180 every game because you're going to split. And I actually opened up the lane and it carried better. And C squad, everybody that hooked it, well, I should say everybody that hooked it. Everybody that bowled good hooked it. The other 2 squads, everybody that bowled good went straighter. So the angle changed. So what I saw was, in order to strike on those, you have to play the lane correctly. You can't get away with the wrong lane play. You're not going to carry the hit if you're playing the lane wrong.
So would your saying be beneficial then because it just will go straighter and less angular and hit more flush most of the times?
Like I said, I think it matters how the lane is playing. I mean, I watched Chris Keene throw urethane and he did okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't make the cut, but he did okay.
All right.
I just think that you got to pay attention and see what's working. I don't think, there's times when there's guys that throw it a little straighter that carry, and there's guys that hook it to carry, and it really doesn't matter because the pocket's wider.
Right.
But on these, you have to have the exact right angle to strike.
It's such a hot button topic right now, and the more research I've done on it,
Rob,
yeah.
Real quick, Shafe, is your volume on the highest it can go right now?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Go ahead, Rob.
Jeff Riggles has done extensive research on the topic, trying to be impartial about it. And, he and I know the USBC did many, many studies on it, and they found out that, there isn't that big of a difference between free fall and the new certified string pins. And, initially I was against it, but seeing the changes that they made to it and doing more research, I'm kind of on board with it. And I will just say this, you're right about the house guys. Too many people that bowl in house patterns think they can do what you guys do on TV. Just because they average 240 on a house shot, they think they're just as good, if not better, than what they see on TV. And there needs to be a huge difference between skill level, between house hacks and the tour, which there is, but in their mind, it's not. Number 2, if they level the playing field and every center switches over to string pins, we're all going to have to fucking deal with it. So we're all going to be on the same playing field. The sport has always adapted. You went from rubber balls to plastic to urethane to resin back to urethane. You go from the wood lanes to help me out, Johnny. Synthetic lanes. Different oil patterns, different types of oil. The game has always adapted. You either have to get with it or go away and not deal with it anymore. I think it'd be beneficial if this really is going to be this future of the sport. And if the centers really do show extensive cost savings, which they should, not having to employ as many mechanics and less breakdowns, blah, 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 more time, the game moves quicker, so you don't have to reset pins anymore. If we all bowl on it, then nobody can bitch about it anymore. So I think personally, if it's more beneficial to have them and it's going to keep the sport going, then we should have them. That's just my opinion.
I think the other benefit is the pins are always on spot.
True.
I mean, I get sick and tired of going someplace and nobody pays attention to that anymore. And it's so important, and everybody just lets it go. And just say I'm bowling Johnny in a match, okay? Right-hander against left-hander, we stay on that pair, and the rack on the left is closed. You know how much better he has to bowl than me to beat me?
Right.
It's not fair. But if you have the pins around spot, you don't have to worry about that.
And when it comes to, say, the TV show, when bowlers ask for a re-rack, we pretty much know it's not always because the pins are off spots, because they need, time to kind of chill out or think about the next shot. Do you kind of change the rule when it comes to that, Johnny? Like,
and you
can call it a timeout instead of a re-rack?
You could typically tell most professionals from all the years I've been watching, the first thing they do is look at the pins, because you're on the clock if you want to get that re-rack, right?
You got to say it first.
So a lot of times, other than
right, you got to say it first, because if it's not your first order of business, they won't give it to you.
Exactly right. So your first main focus is what's going to happen right after the previous shot. But I mean, whereas I'm going to use Norm Duke as an example that utilize the re-rack as not only time to take out for themselves, but time to mess with their opponents. And the biggest highlight here, at least in my brain, is when Norm Duke deliberately double fouled against Brian Goebel after leading the tournament, breaking every single record there could possibly been. Or Norm was always notorious for taking double re-racks to give themselves and their opponents that extra time to think, especially if it was their ball in the 9th and 10th and the opponent has to finish. I mean, Anthony Simonson, we see him do it nowadays similar to the way that Norm does it, but he does it a little bit more quietly. People just don't recognize it as much. I would think, personally, I would once in a while, if I was intimidated by a bowler but didn't want him to know about it, I would try and figure out a way to flip the script. Rack even more so than the pins, unless they were disgusting. Like Ryan said earlier, if the 1-2 is closed and the 1-3 is open, Ryan and I bowled against each other in a regional somewhere in a wood bowling center. I can't remember the name of the bowling center. And I had qualified 7th and Ryan was 3rd going into it was a 3-game total or a best of 5, Ryan. I can't even remember. But the entire tournament. Where was that?
I think it was best of 5.
Best of 5. So, and I had qualified whacking him using a rubber LT48, no thumb on a wood surface. It was like the magic gem. But the following day, I couldn't bowl. I couldn't use it against Ryan. Now, like, my brain is starting to figure out, like, rather than focusing on myself, how do I utilize, very much similar to the way a guy would utilize the shot clock. I'm definitely rambling right now, but I guess the point of what I'm trying to say here is it's all dependent on the situation you're in. Is that true, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. No doubt about it. I mean,
do you think you've ever, like, where you were trying to give your opponent a little bit more time to think? I mean, you've made 15 or 16 major telecasts. I mean, have you ever hit that situation where you thought, maybe if I do this, he might choke a little bit?
Probably to my detriment, I have not. If I take a re-rack, it's because I need a re-rack. The only time I've ever taken a re-rack for more time was when I threw 300 on TV in Indianapolis. And just a little aside there.
Was that a fired up you were throwing?
No, it was the hell was that ball?
You're wearing a red shirt with no collar. I remember that because my wife and I were talking about, we were in Florida at my grandma's house watching you live when you did that.
I can't remember the name of that ball, but it looked like an agent. It had the same colors.
Oh, the Domination, right?
Yes.
Yeah, never mind. I got it now. Go on.
So I took the re-rack for extra time, and it was my second re-rack. The rack comes up, and every pin is off spot. Every single pin was off spot. And I just stood there. And Kirk Von Kruger said to me, "Wait a second, Ryan." And he made the re-rack. He re-racked them for me. So I actually got 3 re-racks in my 300 game.
Wow. That's pretty, I didn't know that.
Which is amazing. The only time I've ever seen a person denied a re-rack is my dad. good old the Goose, Harry Golden, denied my dad a second re-rack in the 77 U.S. Open against Bill Spigner in the title match. Go check it out. You'll see my dad be like, I can't fucking shoot at this. And Goose comes over and says, no.
Yeah.
And leaves.
Yeah,
Only
speaking of-
denial I've ever seen for a rack.
Yeah, I was bowling Bill O'Neill in Fountain Valley, and I was using two different balls. I was using one ball in the right lane, one ball in the left lane. And, of course, to save time, when I was walking off the right lane, I would come on the left lane, and I'd pick up the ball on the way back. And I picked it up, and I stood there, and I looked at the rack, and I said, well, that's a bad rack. So I turned around, and I said, can I get a re-rack or no, because I picked up the ball? And they go, no, you can't have one because you picked up the ball. And you can hear me right on the mic. I go, well, that's a stupid fucking rule. And it was right on the mic.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how's the season been going for you thus far, Ryan, on the PBA 50 tour? What's going on out there this season? What do you see similar to last year? What's different? What's going on?
I'm actually bowling pretty good.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, one of the good things is that it seems like a few of my balls work on all the patterns. I mean, we bowled on 38 to 47 feet, and it seems like I've used the same bowling balls. So I really don't have to drill a lot. And, you know, I think the last couple of years, the lanes have kind of played the same. You know, if you can get to that 17 to 10 zone, you know, eventually after a couple games, you know, which is why Tom Hess is pretty dominant, other than the fact he's pretty good. He likes to throw it there. It just seems to play every single week, no matter what the pattern distance is. I think if you watch the left-handers, I think even though you can't use the purple hammer, I think there has been a definite attempt to make it so they can't use urethane, even though the purple hammer is not really, you know, usable other than in USBC events. You know, and is that a good or bad thing? I don't know.
We kind of see this trending on the regular tour too, Ryan. I'm actually going to use Bill O'Neill as my example. Bill O'Neill was running for Player of the Year all season long. We saw him throw a theorem on pretty much every single show, regardless of the pattern. Is that what you experience out there?
Yeah.
Where like there's like 3, 4, maybe even sometimes 5 balls that just seem to match up?
Yeah, it was basically my theorem and my hammer effect, and the hell's the other ball? GB5 for a little while. I mean, those 3 balls are, you know, they're the first ones out of the bag because they seem to work all the time. Zigzag a little bit too. You know, those 3, 4 balls. That's if I had to go somewhere, I've never been able to take only 2 bags anymore.
Right.
I would probably take those 4, a urethane ball and a plastic ball.
We see a lot of guys throwing that GB4 hybrid too. Have you had success with that one as well?
Not this year. I used it a lot last year, but not this year.
I was going to say the GB4 has been is Marshall Kent's go-to ball right now. A lot of guys like using that ball.
Yeah, David Kroll used it when he won and threw it in the air in Delaware. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in Clearwater? You put a Facebook post up about oiling in lanes and walk us through what you're frustrated
excuse
with.
me, back in 3 minutes. Call of nature.
Sure.
What happened in Clearwater?
Yeah.
I am all for consistency and following the rules, following procedure. And every week when we bowl and we get to the matches, it's strip and oil. They turn the lanes on. You get practice on practice pairs. Then you go to your pair. You bowl your match. You get 5 minutes of practice. You bowl your match. When you're done, strip and oil. Same thing. Practice pairs. Bowl your match. Okay. So I made the cut every single week. We did that every single week. In Clearwater, for some reason, before the matches, they oiled all the pairs. And then they said, go to your pair and you get 10 minutes of practice. So I'm like, well, what's going on? No practice pairs? No, you get 10 minutes of practice. So they oiled all the pairs. And then the ones we're going to use for the second set in the round of 16 just sat there. Okay. So then you win your match, and now you got to go to pairs that they didn't just strip and oil. They've been sitting there, okay? Not only that, if you're going to do that, don't you think that you would start the matches like maybe 15 minutes right after you finish the matches before? No, that's not what they did. They acted like they were going to oil again, and we waited all that time, and they didn't re-oil. They had oiled before. So we sat there and waited and waited and waited, and then we bowl our match, and the lanes, when they lanes sit, they flatten out. I mean, they flatten out. And not only do they flatten out, they've cooled down. So when you start to bowl on them, all of a sudden they heat up and they go poof.
Yep.
So now you have a totally different effect from what happened the entire tournament because you changed your procedure. And there was no reason to change the procedure. And it pissed me off. It pissed me off because if you're going to change the procedure, let everybody know ahead of time.
Right.
Yes, it said it on the website. It was snuck in that they said it didn't say re-oil before the round of 16, okay? Yeah, they snuck it in there. How many people look at that?
Right.
Tell us beforehand, because then if they would have said that beforehand, I would have gone in there and I would have said, you can't do that. That's you change procedure.
That's what it is. Think about how drastically that changes, what the shot making might have been anyway. And it's one of the things that we usually talk about with bowling, that there's so many effects and anomalies that are enhanced by man. Like, it's not like they almost take it out of your hands sometimes. If somebody does something like that, then you're not prepared, even though you should be, for whatever you thought you were, and they're throwing. It's like having a test, and then they change like the topic. You think you're going to take a math test, and then it's science, and you're like, wait a second, hold on, come on, I'm prepared for a math test here. Now you're throwing science at me.
Yeah, I mean, it pissed me off because I'm going to be selfish. Everybody else on tour is selfish. I'm going to be selfish.
Well, you want to win. It's how you make money. It's how you freaking feed your family.
I'm going to be selfish. For the first time in the entire time we bowled out there, I actually, the look on the fresh was coming to me, okay? It kept getting better and better and better. And I had a look that nobody else had. I almost had like a fallback look, okay? But if I got it right, it got back. And when they let those lanes sit and they flattened out and then they heated up and blew up, I lost my fallback. And I lost my advantage. And it just, it sours you. It makes you bitter because something's good happening for once. And like I said, I've been bowling good, but then when you get a look like that, that's when you really believe you can win.
Right, you're lined up finally. You're like, of all the stuff you're grinding, you're lined up now. Here's my chance.
Right, and then that happens, and it pissed me off. I mean,
because you're used to. I mean, after bowling on the same, you having the same look, you know how to adjust for the next game. When they change that, you're fucked.
And for the first time in I don't know how long, I used one ball.
Wow.
One ball. I was using a zigzag the entire time. The entire time. I mean, that ball was like 20 to 30 pins better than any ball I had in my bag as far as going through the pins. And they took the goddamn thing out of my hands by their procedure.
Now, was that actually on the website, or did you ever get any clarification as to why they changed it?
I went in and I respectfully told them that they were wrong and that they shouldn't change procedure without telling anybody. I looked at the website, like I said, and every other tournament it says re-oil, re-oil, re-oil. Sure. This one said re-oil before the round of 24. It didn't say it before the round of 16, and then it said it before the round of 8, okay? But like I said,
nobody looks at it.
Nobody looks at it.
Yeah.
They announce everything else at roll call. They tell us about rules we should know for 20 years, but they can't announce that they're not going to re-oil before the round of 16, that they're going to re-oil for the round of 16 before the round of 24. I mean, we can all say, my bad, I should have known better, okay? I said that to myself. Eventually, my bad, I should know better. But once again, why? There was no good answers to why they changed procedure. I asked the tournament directors why they changed procedures. And they said, Well, we did it last week in Fort Myers. And I said, no, you did not.
Bullshit. Yeah.
I said, you did not. I said, and there were more lanes in Fort Myers. I said, you could have done it in Fort Myers if you wanted to do it that way, because you had enough lanes where you could do that.
Right.
But you didn't. And all of a sudden in Clearwater, you do it. And look, if they would have said, look, the proprietor wants to have leagues later, so we're trying to save time, I don't like that. But at least you got a reason.
Sure.
Okay. The host pays the host. Okay. We don't pay them to host. They pay us to host. Okay. So you got to make some concessions there. So if they had said, the proprietor needs his lanes back, so we're trying to, expedite things and get things moving. Okay. I don't like it, but I get it. But then we sat there for an hour. We sat, there was no reason. We sat there for an hour anyway. You could have stripped and oiled in that time period. You didn't need to do it that way.
Like Chuck says, he the majority didn't even have a clue about it. I'm sure you and Troy and a lot of guys didn't know about it.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was pissed off.
I don't blame you. I don't blame, and they haven't done it since, right?
Well, I mean, the format at the Masters is different.
Sure.
It says that to begin with. It says you're bowling on the burn, you're bowling on fresh, you're bowling when you get to the matches. So, yeah, it hasn't come into play yet.
Johnny, what do you make of all that?
I've actually been listening outside and also like being a dick in the chat. So I actually only caught half of that. I'm not going to lie. So I sincerely apologize. But what was the main drift of the entire convo?
Changing the oil procedure from what they've normally done during
the entire tour. The entire tour. Yeah.
I mean, Ryan, you were out on tour before you ever knew what the pattern was. What do you think? Like, do you prefer not knowing or knowing? I mean, I understand with technology nowadays, you're actually saying nowadays, which is totally different than most, is you actually get to drill less balls because certain balls produce the right motion, whatever pattern you're on. I remember back in when, you only had certain balls to throw. Like, what do you make of it? What do you think is more beneficial? I mean, me personally, I would rather never know what the pattern is. I got enough shit going on in my brain all the time, as all of my friends and people that have been around me should probably understand. So the last thing I need to do is worry about a million more things. But in the same respect, nowadays, you can never bring the same exact bag to cheetah that you would bring to badger, right? It's not even a thought. And as Mo Pinnell always said, 70% of ball motion is what comes in contact with the lane and not the surface. So I'm torn here because I'm always kind of right down the middle. I'll lean one way or the other, but I actually want to get a professional's perspective on this. And again, I'm sorry that I missed this while I was taking care of that nature call. And but other than that, that's kind of how I feel, Rad Rob, is I would personally rather not know and bring an extra 10 balls and have to run out to the car with my shoe cover on to go get the right ball, then look at a graph that tells me what I'm supposed to expect at what time.
Well, I think what they did was they posted what it was going to be, and then it wound up being something a little different because of other factors. I don't know enough about how oil patterns are, but that's what he was going.
Ryan,
what I'm talking about is all year long before every round of match, but they strip and oil. And in Clearwater, they stripped an oil before the round of 24 for the round of 16. So the round of 16 lanes sat. So they
okay. Now I'm on point with you.
They were going to be different.
Okay. So Ryan, let me make 2 points here, and then I want you to deflect off me and tell me what you think. And these are two things that are actually always in my brain. Number one, I've always felt that the lefties should always cross together. And I say that for positives and negatives. Number one, it's typical when at the start of a tournament, most right-handers start basically the same way lefties do. They're around the track area or a little bit to the right of it. They're trying to control the hole until they develop something down lane that either creates push or creates shim or creates bump. So in my younger years, I've always been a high rev lefty that likes to hook it. So the only thing I really don't know how to do is that, unless I'm using plastic, rubber, or urethane. And sometimes I'll bowl a tournament and I have that same look on every lane. I'd rather chase 30 lefties on the same 5 or 6 pairs throughout the course of the block than chase myself, especially when I'm not confident doing it. So that's number one. And the second part that I was actually trying to get to here, God, oh my God, this was the big one. This was the important one. This always happens to me.
Crossing lefties, and then the other one about the oil pattern. About
the other thing I don't like is the elimination of you lead a bowling tournament on the senior tour. Now you have to bowl one guy on one pair for 3 games. Now, don't even talk about the oil, the re-oil, yada, yada, yada at that point. I don't like the elimination of the effort it took to get there. I don't like the fact that as the tournament progresses, that the guy who's out averaging this guy by like 14 pins a game over the course of 24 games of qualifying, 16 games of qualifying, now catches this one guy that's got a look on this one pair. Maybe this is the one guy who needs the re-oil 3 or 4 times to tighten up the back ends. Maybe this pair, like you said earlier, has a shitty rack and you're bowling a lefty. I mean, so for me, I'm getting somewhere. I just can't get there. Somebody help me.
You want it to be fair.
Basically,
Basically, you want it to be fair, and they still haven't found a way. And apparently, what happened with him was like they followed a consistent pattern, and then they changed it at the last second, or not, or whatever it was. It was the
Chuck said it was 3 days. They announced it 3 days before they bowled, so they put it up on the website that they
changed it. Yeah, it was
that they were changing it,
like
but didn't tell them in the meetings.
The website didn't say that. The original posting on the website didn't say that, and then before we got there, they changed it.
Yeah.
Rob, can you bring up my doubles teammate Sherry's tag about the Phantom, talking about Len Nicholson here? Phantom told me, Ryan, you read this too with me, bud, that it's best if the oils sit on the lane for at least 30 minutes, but it's better if it sits longer. Do you agree with that, Ryan? This is coming from Len Nicholson, running Phantom Radio and obviously old PBA Tour maintenance man.
I think they do try to let it sit 30 minutes, approximately. So that's why, like, if you oil for A squad, they oil for a certain time so that when they get done, you're not bowling right after they get done. Okay. So when they have to re-oil for B squad, they try to give themselves enough time where that time period is the same. Okay. And that's kind of my bitch, is that I don't care what the time period is, it's got to be the same. You can't let lanes sit for 20 minutes for one block and the next block sit for 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a change of procedure. You change your procedure. And that's what pissed me off.
Real quick here, I think we have some action going on. Butters is here and says he doesn't know if anybody wants to bowl with me. They get scared with my black hammer 180. Troy says he's in. I think we got some action going on here. If we can get these guys anywhere near a bowling center in the next couple of months, I would pay to see that side action.
I bet on Troy.
Just like that. Wow.
That would be
wow. Well,
I would actually pay to watch that.
Dude, Ryan didn't even think about it. Like, Troy.
I mean,
Troy, that's fair. What do you expect him to say?
It's different for me because both of them have been kicking my ass since the first day at this past host center, courtesy of Lee Sonton, Bowler X at Steel City. The first time I ever bowled against Troy Lynn, like in an actual tournament, was when he was using a Storm Frantic. So it's like 2012, 2011, 13, whatever it is.
You heard his feelings, Ryan.
The first time I ever bowled against or watched Jacob bowl when I was living in Vegas, he was bowling at wildfire lanes, curving the entire lane. And then he was using a 900 Global X in the South Point Arena. I was using an Ultimate Nirvana. And I bowled great at both of those events. I had no chance against either of them. And so I would love nothing more than to watch the two of those square off.
And this is not a slam on Jacob. Jacob's great. I just bet.
Absolutely. We know you, Ryan, and we absolutely understand. If my back was against the wall, here's what would happen for me if I had to pick between those two. If somebody was fucking with me, I'm obviously going to go with see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, Troy Lynn. Just because I think he's like one of the few men that could kick my ass. If I'm going to go and chill out with somebody who's going to make my heart feel really, really good, it would be both of them equally. And if I had to pick one of them at Van Ness Lanes in the Bronx, while the judge, Mr. Joe Abruzzi, is chilling in the back of the judge's bench pro shop, I guess I would have to take an action match against the righty. I actually can't answer it. This is
what about national television? What about just flat out national television?
On TV, I'll go with Troy simply because Troy's head is steel. Troy figures out a way to stay even keeled all the time.
Oh yeah.
Visually, Jacob, I know you're still here. A couple times I do see you.
Oh, you guys!
I don't want to say second guess yourself, but I see a little bit of something behind your eyes. So fix that next time you're on TV, and I guarantee you'll win another 9 titles next year.
Oh my God! What are we doing here?
We're being sweet and real, like we always do. You don't like this?
My point is, I mean, because Troy thinks that Mike Tomlin probably should not have gotten.
Where are we going with this?
But I gotta say,
Troy hates Mike Tomlin.
How many times under the lights? I mean, Troy's a beast. He's my guy. I gotta take Butterfield on a national television stage. I mean, my gosh.
Good man.
So, shout out to Butters for his bowling.
Like, how do you fuck with either of those guys?
No, absolutely. But I mean,
future Hall of Famers, legends of the game. I use that word way too loosely.
Well, no, but
future legends of the game. They both basically reinvented the game.
And they've stormed on to the freaking scene quick.
Troy is the modern age version on the senior tour of Jason Couch in his fucking 20s.
He's a gunslinger.
Buttriff decided one day, I'm going to do what the hell I do and kick everybody's ass.
Throw the ball like no one else does and do it
nice and sweet to everybody I ever meet in my entire life. They're both amazing.
2 of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I love both of them equally.
No doubt about it. I wanted to address Johnny's thing about should the lefties all bowl together? I would say I don't have a problem with that. I would think you're the only lefty that wants that. Because if I'm bowling with a lefty and we're sitting there talking, all they do is bitch about where all the other lefties are playing. This guy's doing this. This guy's doing that. Look what he's doing.
So right.
Yeah.
And it's funny to listen to.
True.
And I'm like,
and you'd be the guy hooking the lane and not even worried about where they're going, I guess. It's basically.
Dude, my buddy Nick D'Ambrosio, we bowl league on Monday nights at Howell Lanes. Every time we bowl a team with 2 lefties, because our third guy, Tim, is a lefty, every time there's 4 lefties on the pair, as soon as I put my shoes on, I'm like, I might shoot 800 tonight. And Nick's like, wait. Meanwhile, the lefty on my pair to the left of me is him and one other guy who's playing a completely different arrow, and all he's doing is bitching about how his side of the lane is going to get fucked up. I'm like,
right. It's funny to listen to.
That's the shit. That's why people hate lefties, because of idiots.
By the way, we're going to get the Buttriff. That's going to be a shirt. The Waddle Crank Smash.
Waddle Run Crank Smash.
Waddle Run Crank Smash, Mappo. Let's go.
And then
that's going to be a shirt. We're going to call the art department. Rob, when you find your neck, call the art department and find out if we can do something about
we
that.
We need Jacob's hand on like this side of the ball, right? And this Waddle Crank Smash with his hair. Just as hair.
Or like the piece by piece, like, you know, picture, like a flip book right on the shirt.
Speaking of the greatest shirt inventor of all time, we actually have him on the show right now. His name's Ryan.
No
Shafer.
shit.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh well, here's our art department.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who does your jerseys? Is it Compass or somebody else?
No, it's Chameleon.
Chameleon. Okay.
Yeah. Jeannie Franklin is the best. You know, I come up with the idea and I'll send her some stuff, but she's pretty amazing. Like one of the last jerseys I did was, you know, we're talking about how the lanes are tough and I feel like I'm bowling in a phone booth. And I always say you got to hit the crack of a fly's ass, right? So the back of the jersey is a fly and there's an arrow pointing at his ass. The front of the jersey is a guy in a phone booth with handcuffs on, right? And I said to Jeannie, I go, there's still too much room there. I said, you got to let people know we're talking about bowling there. I said, so add some pins and a bowling ball there. Okay. So she adds it. I get the jersey and I look at it and I don't think anything of it. And somebody says to me, that's a purple hammer on that jersey. So I look at it and I go, I think that's Troy's purple hammer. So I take a picture of it and I screenshot. I sent it to Troy. I go, "Is this your purple hammer?" And he goes, "Yeah, how'd that get on your jersey?" So Jeannie's got a hell of a sense of humor. She took a picture of Troy's purple hammer and put it on my jersey.
That is really
fantastic.
That is.
But like
cool.
I have a jersey that it says on the back, "I throw it like a," and there's a picture of a pig. Okay, self-deprecating. People make fun of my roll. They call it voodoo roll. My track's kind of low, so I like to say I throw it like a pig. Okay, it's not aimed at anybody. It's aimed at me. It's self-deprecating. So some other guys on the PBA50 tour want to get that jersey, and that's fine with me. I think it's a compliment if somebody wants to duplicate your jersey and wear it. Well, when we were bowling in Fort Myers, I wore that jersey. I got a message from Tom Clark that said some of the higher ups at Bolero think that my jerseys are what they would deem unprofessional. They didn't use the word offensive. I can't remember what word they used, but they said they're unprofessional. And Tom suggested that I calm it down a little bit and be more sunshine and rainbows. And I said, Tom, I said two things. I said, once again, that jersey's self-deprecating. I said, and the other thing is you approve them. It's been approved. You can't just wear any jersey you want. The design has to go through the approval process. So I made a jersey that has sunshine and rainbows and unicorns and happy face emojis. So the next tournament I bowl, that's what I'm going to wear.
I saw that post on your Facebook. That is a fantastic jersey.
Rob, give me 1 second here. Shafe, in your opening there, you're talking about your ball roll. And this is something that I've always actually wanted to address, and I feel like I've never brought it up on this show, and I love that you're here, being originally from, what was it, Horseheads and Elmira area? Yeah. All of you amazing talents that come out of that region of the country have that trick roll. And I'm going to identify you, Brad Angelo, Ryan Simonelli, Jack Jurek. It almost looks like, especially you and Brad, maybe Jurek and Sim a little bit different. It almost looks like the ball is, I don't want to say it spinning, but you used to use white finger grips. I don't know if you still do.
No way.
But it always looked like your finger grips were tipped a little bit further away from the pocket than everybody else, but your ball never slungshot down lane, but you could always make the ball curve. I'm going back to Jason's first of his 3 back-to-back TSC victories on that really, really long pattern.
Right.
You were the only one on that show, and in a lot of situations that I've watched you bowl, where you can make the ball corner with a tilt that okay, I'll say it. Growing up, I didn't want, but you all did it. Is that a geographic thing? Is that what you grew up on? Like, because how can you have Joe Chacon is another one from right. I mean, anybody that knows Joe Chacon, how talented he is. You guys like almost got the ball to, if I threw the ball with your ball roll when I watch you, I would wash out every time or bucket. Is that fair? Like, what is that? Where did it come from? Why is it specific to New York State?
I think it's more specific to like Buffalo, because when I grew up, I actually grew up on like 45 feet of oil on lacquer, and I grew up playing the gutter. Okay, you would never think that watching me bowl. I grew up playing the gutter. When I bowled college, we bowled basically mostly all in Buffalo. And so my role kind of transformed into that because we bowled a lot of like fourth arrow, fall back, tip it, don't give away the pocket, but you got to get it to, like you said, just tip just a little bit, to carry. And, so that was always how I bowl. That's why I bowl good at the U.S. Opens at Carol Air, because that's kind of what you had to do. Throw it at the 3-pin and get it to tip. So I think that's why it kind of evolved into that.
it's amazing because, I'm from New Jersey, New York area, but New Jersey for me. And out here, the goal is fast to the gutter, get it to peel, go sideways. Lived in Vegas for 12 years. Out there, you can do that, but the way to strike in Vegas is play the shin. So it took me like a solid year or so, actually, when I first moved out there working with Robert Smith at Red Rock at Dan Nadu's Pro Shop. I had to actually learn how to use the oil in the middle rather than the official things when it came to learning how to use urethane or playing up the lane in most professional events that I bowled or anything sport related. See a lot of Floridians with a lot of different games. My boys that I bowled nationals with, Tim Barrett and Shea Bittenbender in the middle of the country in St. Louis area, Pete Weber, Nelson. Everybody everywhere has a different style. And then you look at somebody like Simo, who's gone anywhere from Texas to Vegas and does what he does. But then somebody like EJ, who's been in Indiana his whole life, Belmo in Australia, you have that mix. But when it comes to the USA, it seems like each different. Let's go to Oregon. Let's go to like Dave Husted and Brian Smith. Gentle hands,
right?
Long reaches, a little bit softer approaches. Like, where are we geographically, and what are we doing with what's given to us? I think that's the sexiest thing about our sport is, and the best in the world will figure out a way to transition to whatever area they are in the country or the world.
Right.
Just kind of spitting shit here, but I feel like this is kind of a cool topic, right?
No, I think you make a good point. I never thought of that, but you make a good point.
I wish I knew more people from Urbandale, Iowa, because I would love to know what Tom Hess is fucking doing. Love you, dude. But for real, Derek Satt. Maybe that's the only one, but he's in Keokuk.
There's my jersey.
There's the Sunshine and Rainbow jersey that Ryan's going to be wearing.
This is the first version. I added unicorns on the bottom.
Okay, all right. That is so funny, dude. That is hilarious. What's your favorite jersey?
Well, I mean, it's got to be the monkey fuck of the football. So they're offended by the pig, but I haven't heard anything about the monkey in the football. So
I personally like the one with the donkey, the S.
Yeah.
I like the Monopoly one just because
the Monopoly one is so nostalgic.
Yeah.
All I want to do is play like a game of Monopoly for like 7 hours with mom and dad at the Christmas dinner table.
Yeah, that one took the most creativity because it's got the PBA and the PBA50 schedule on it.
Yep.
And I have a personal, I'll say it on here. I have a personal burn list for centers I don't like. So Jeannie Franklin says to me, "You want me to add like hotels and stuff to fill in the thing?" And I go, "Yeah." So I sent the picture to Troy, and Troy goes, "You should put some of them hotels on the places you don't like and put them on fire." Right. And I go, "That's a good idea." So if you look at it, there's hotels on fire on certain stops on tour.
That's so fucking cool. I didn't even realize that. I got to go back and look at it.
Yeah. And I will say this on here, and I really don't care. We bowl a regional in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and I hate it there. I despise it. I will not go back. The jail thing is Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
That's so cool. That is really that is hilarious. I got to go back and look at that. So off topic, non-bowling question. I've had this discussion with Ocho and Johnny off the show. You're obviously a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Re-signing Tomlin to 3 years. Do you like it or do you not like it?
I like it because if you're going to get rid of somebody, you better have somebody that's going to be better. And I don't know if anybody's going to be better. I think they've gotten in a rut where, just trying to have a winning record is too much of the goal instead of trying to advance further and further into the playoffs. But maybe they feel like they haven't had the roster to try to advance further into the playoffs. But I like Mike Tomlin because I think the players respect him. I think maybe for a little while he might have lost the room with a couple of players, but then they got rid of those guys.
Right.
So I like him. I know Troy doesn't like him. And Troy is a big Steeler fan too, but I like him because I don't think that there's anybody else that I can think of. But I'm not in the inner workings of the NFL. I don't know anybody I can think of that would fit the Pittsburgh Steelers better. For example, like at quarterback, you could say that Brady and Manning were.
Hey Ryan,
Roethlisberger.
I'm gonna pause you here. I'm gonna pause you here for 1 second because we actually have to bring in the biggest Steeler fan in the world to actually refute this convo because I don't know if you know this, but you actually just made his day, and his name is Dr. Ocho.
Finish your thought. That's all. I'm not an angry guy. Finish your thought, man. Go ahead.
No, I just don't know if anybody that they could find would be better than Tomlin. And I think the Steelers thrive on
mediocrity lately.
Well, I said that. I said I think that they focus too much on just having a winning record instead of advancing further and further in the playoffs.
A whole 17 years without a losing record is like become the statistic. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go. I promise.
But I think that they've heard that criticism, and I think that they're trying to address it. It's hard to have a coach with a lame duck status. If you see that in the NFL, it's very usually when that happens, it's not a good thing. Because the players want to know who the coach is going to be. Maybe free agents want to know who the coach is going to be. So you give Tomlin a 3-year contract. And I think players want to play for Tomlin.
No, they do because he's a cupcake. And they say he's a great player's coach, but he's not a coach at this point. Now, let's be honest. He won with Cowher's talent. He won with Cowher's culture. He won with Cowher's leaders. I liked him. I liked him. And I thought he was – in 2009, I saw an article that said Camp Cupcake. And I was like, wait, they just won the Super Bowl with a legendary defense, gave up no more than 250 yards a game besides one time against the freaking whatever Kerry Collins team, the Titans, that whole year, win the Super Bowl amazingly. And then they come out flat. And then here's my problem. All right, I'm going to get into it. Look at the talent he had from 2000. He gets to the Super Bowl against Green Bay, loses against the number 6 seed, then loses against Tim Tebow.
Right, that was bad.
For Ladarius Green on a freaking 300 on a freaking pass play from Tim Tebow. He's a defensive guru supposedly. Then they finally get an offense, and they got Lev Bell, and they got AB. They got Emmanuel Sanders. My God, they got guys. They got freaking Mike Wallace. They got guys that are speed burners. And Tomlin can get them to a win, and that's it. And now my issue is, listen to this stat. This is since about 2009-ish or 8-ish, that the NFL, when the road favorite is 7 points or more, road favorite now. So we're a road favorite. We're going on the road. 7 points. There's probably 10 if you're home. They're like 74-12. Straight up. Not against the spread. Straight up. Mike Tomlin has like 7 or 8 of those losses. He never has them prepared. I'm being speculative because I freaking harbor this resentment about all these losses against the Raiders. Why can they never beat the Raiders when they're 20-point favorites? They can't beat anybody on the West Coast. They're not prepared. And the Rooneys are cowards. The Rooneys are cowards. When Dan Rooney passed away, they became cowards. The whole culture that Mike Tomlin, this is terrible, and I'm sorry to take this up on a bowling podcast.
No,
the whole culture that Mike Tomlin set when he let Lev Bell, AB run freaking rampant, do whatever the hell they wanted, And then here comes Juju, which he had a great year, but he was AB Junior, and he comes in and starts doing all these TikTok things. And what happens? They were the worst 11. I wrote it on my Facebook page. Well, you can't find it because there's no Ocho Facebook page. So don't even look for it, people. I don't care what you say. They were 7-0. Worst 7-0 team in history. Worst 9-0 team in history. Worst 11-0 team in history, and that's when they lost to Washington. And actually, they were actually beating Washington in that game. Tomlin, for some reason, is not just he wants to be their friend. He wants to be their compadre, and they love him for that. And that's why the players love him. I don't think he's a bad guy. How many guys want to party with Brady? With Belichick,
right?
Besides the Tom Brady rule, they had to beg Robert Kraft and freaking Belichick to have a shot together. And these guys won 9 championships together. Yet, 9, right, Rob? How many? How many Kraft and Belichick win? Was it
6 with Patriots, and then
9 Super Bowls, 6.
9 Super Bowls they were at. That's right. So, this is where, work doesn't have to be, I don't know, man. You don't have to make pals with everybody. Dick LeBeau, I give him a carte blanche because he was a teacher. And somebody just wrote about Shazier's injury. Yes. And I can see it to this day against the Bengals when he starts pointing to his back. Yes, we haven't had a freaking inside backer like that since. However, does the guy want to win a championship, or does he want to have a winning record? And literally, that's what's been happening. So that's my unfettered rant. And hey, all right, OG Gecko, shut up. I will get to it. I do what we fucking say now.
We've done a whole hour on bowling. I wanted to.
I do,
but no. So my issue, I don't think he's good for the team. I'm not against him. You know what you're going to get. We're going to get a 10-7, 9-8, and we're going to lose in the first round, and then we're going to get a bad draft pick, and then we're never going to. We should have, when Ben blew his elbow out, we should have tanked it. I don't mean tank it. Try hard. Do what you got to. Don't fucking go 8-8. Actually, they were 8-5 at that point. What am I saying?
Go ahead. I think you're right about the unprepared. There's too many games where they look like they haven't even watched film, and they fall behind like 14-0, and then they actually do a good job at halftime adjusting.
Sure, they make the adjustments.
Right, but they're unprepared. You're exactly right.
How about the game against the Patriots? They lost to the Cardinals, who were 2-8, and the Patriots, who were 2-8, or something like that, or 2-10, I think it was.
And then the other thing is, the thing I don't give Tomlin a pass for, I think he's terrible at hiring coordinators.
He hires beneath him, 100%.
He won with Cowher's coordinators.
Yes. He had Dick LeBeau. He had freaking Ted Wisenhunt. And the issue is he hires they hire from within is what they do. So nobody can be smarter than him. It's like kind of narcissistic traits, I feel like.
A little bit.
But and maybe he's supposed to be the smartest. Is the coach supposed to be the smartest? Maybe. But
I knew I had at least 10 minutes.
When your franchise is suffering now, and we're the goddamn Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Like, this is we've been to one AFC championship game.
It could be worse.
We've been
I know a 39-year-old man that roots for the Mets and the Jets.
That's true. But you know what? You know what's funny about
instantly makes me feel better.
Wait.
You know what's funny about the Patriots game this year? They did exactly to the Steelers what they did when Brady played for them, and the Steelers still hadn't adjusted.
No kidding. That's what I'm saying.
It was the same game plan. It was the same game plan.
That's what I'm saying. They're up to this guy hadn't thrown a touchdown pass in 4 months, and he got 3 in the first quarter.
I know.
On a Thursday night game when we're supposed to be prepared.
I'm gonna change subjects.
Yes, let's talk bowling.
Real quick.
Try being a Panthers fan.
Shafe, in 1991, the inaugural year of my dad's JP Open.
I thought you were going to give a Steelers score. I would tell you what the score was.
I said I was going to change subjects. They did a little interview with my dad, and my dad said, "I'll bowl till I can't bowl anymore," which is virtually the rest of my life.
And she's still doing it.
I love to bowl, and that'll never change. Mm-hmm. You are like one of the guys that I feel like is on that same kind of wavelength. This has been your life seemingly for your entire life. You've given so much to the bowling community. Do you see yourself bowling until you're the ripe old age of 77 like Pops, or even more than that?
That's a tough question, because I always said if I was still bowling for a living at 45, I'd be disappointed in myself. I'm 57, so I hate the travel, and I know your dad hates to fly, and he it's not that I hate flying. I just hate the logistics of it. I hate the.
Well, Dad won't fly.
Right.
I mean, no matter what.
Tedious. Just the entire travel is tedious. I like the competition, but there's things about the game that kind of sour me the more and more I bowl.
Can you share them with us, or?
I think there's, like anything, there's too much politics, and I think that one of the worst things that's ever happened to the game is that you basically have 5 or 6 lane men that are controlling the philosophy of the sport, and they all have the same philosophy. Really, the thing is, like, 3 or 4 of them, they hate each other, and they claim that they don't do what they do, but they all do the same thing. They all do the same thing, and they call it a different thing, and for different reasons. But it makes you have to throw the ball a certain way to be successful, and the game is not like it was when your dad was great, where different styles were allowed to succeed. That was kind of a welfare system. They wanted percentages, but back then you were allowed to be great throwing it straight. You were allowed to be great being left-handed. You were allowed to be great being a tweener. You were allowed to be great being a cranker.
The best guy who executed won, basically. And if they executed their game or even had to manipulate a certain way and not match up with a ball that just happened to be perfect.
Right. And
I mean, like, good, Chief. Good.
There's just too much oil on the lane. And when you see people post, and I'm not picking on anybody because I think he's kind of clever, Greg Tack, okay? Greg Tack will post these patterns on his page. And to me, if you have to do that to a lane, the game is broken. If you have to do that to a lane, and if a lane machine can do that to a lane, what are we talking about?
There's too much control over it.
Yeah.
It really, it's the elements are out of your control now.
I think it's sad.
Ryan, this is a good question from JG, Rob. JG wants to know, is it true they only use Brunswick lane machines on the PBA, and are they not equipped to apply reverse oil? I don't know enough about this kind of stuff.
We use a Brunswick machine. The PBA is contracted to use a Brunswick machine. Yes, it can only apply forward oil. However, they have started using 2 different machines to alleviate that problem.
Okay.
Jay,
thanks for the question, bud, and thanks for watching on YouTube. And by the way, everybody watching our show, thank you as always for your continued support on all avenues.
Wherever podcasts are found, really. I mean,
you can find Straight Up 5 anywhere. So
wherever Rob's neck is, there's a podcast.
So I got a question, Johnny. Where did the name Straight Up 5 come from? Because I don't think you've ever played Straight Up 5, have you?
That man.
All right.
Right there. No, not these. That man right there. Rob, our gracious host, Rob, and actually my chiropractor / best friend right here, Ocho. And like, for real, he actually is a doctor, which in case y'all didn't know, he actually is a doctor.
Yeah. That's scary,
But these two used to have a WWF podcast with the creator of the WWF, Vince Russo. Am I correct when I say that?
The Attitude Era.
The writer.
I did. He didn't. Rob had nothing.
And my dad and Ocho used to bowl league together, and Ocho used to come to the bar and basically be the exact same person he is on this show.
Same face, everything.
And he never knew who my dad was. He just knew my dad as John.
Oh, you're literally telling the story. Oh, shit.
I'm doing
Give him the backstory.
The abridged version.
Oh, shit.
And my dad finally said to him one day, I love when you're in here because you scare everybody else away and you never talk to me about anything related to bowling.
I didn't know who the hell he was.
So, and in all
which is also fact checked on one of the earlier versions of Straight Up 5, where we had Johnny
Correct.
Sr. on, explain the whole story about him punching the nachos and everything. And
so in all of our years, from him taking care of my tennis elbow and my shoulder problems with baseball, when I actually got drafted by the Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians, between all of that, we've been friends for almost 25, 26 years now. I had the pleasure and fortunate, whatever the goddamn word is, to meet Rob through Ocho. And Rob and I have never actually met face to face, but everything you see here and everything we've done over the course of the last 120 episodes, every single Wednesday is
nonsense.
These two,
basically,
the commitment these two have to this 1 hour, 2 hours every single week, it's my favorite few hours of the week. And especially when we get to sit down with a man who's made at least 15 major shows.
When you said that before, I was like,
I've never cashed in one. Think about that. I've never cashed in one. So that's how I know these.
No,
guys.
that's the humbling part of it. And then we got people going, "Oh, I heard of you guys." Wait a second. I know we heard of him, but
we legit do this. Dude, the day that you'll never remember this. This is the year the Monster Slayer came out, Ryan. You and I were in the paddock for roll call at a Howell Lanes regional. I remember you saying something to the tournament director that most heads in the room didn't want to hear or appreciate. They wanted to act like fucking assholes. And I remember looking at you and saying, that's how I feel. I like the way this guy thinks. I like the way you bowl. I like the way you deal with traveling your entire career, the way you have. I like the way that you always figure out a way to not only manage your time off the lanes, but on the lanes. For every charity you do, for every person you do, you're just a good person. I admire people like you. To me, you're very, very similar to my dad. You give your life to the game that provided your life. So that's all I got, man.
Well, that's a hell of a statement because your dad is the best ambassador since Dick Weber.
Well, that was his idol, so it.
Not even close.
Paying it forward, man. Wow.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's badass.
Hell yeah.
And the BVL stuff is fantastic too.
Oh,
I love seeing that every single week.
I had no idea. I mean, when he won the Tony Reyes Award this year, I had no idea it was that much money. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
One of our frequent watchers, her name is Tammy Pissarro. Her son Justin, by himself, sitting outside random businesses, raised almost $4,000 this year for the charity event run by Tony Norsha at Howell Lanes. In a world nowadays where there's so much hate, at least there's some love, you know, and it's pretty cool.
Besides the whole left-right thing, the bowling community is one of the greatest.
Lefties.
No, I don't even know anything about them. I just feel like it's the best camaraderie. Like, it's hard to find a bad relationship that you met from the bowling alley. Really, that's what we always talk about.
Can we bring up Chris Wilson's one more time?
Sure.
So based off what Chris writes here, do you remember the Ebonite 8-ball?
Oh yeah.
No. And the Magic 8-ball that says like try again or something.
I just wanted one watching him and my boss Dave Wadka throw it. So hell yeah, Chris. Nice comment you got there, dude. A lot of memories with this man right here. Even going back to, I think it was your first show, throwing the original Nitro R, that bright green thing.
Yeah.
And you really popped out of it the following.
Yeah.
This guy's hitting it. Let's go.
And yes, Carlene, you're absolutely right. Ryan does do an amazing job raising money for suicide prevention. Which that's obviously it's near and dear to your heart given your past, but that's another cool part.
There's just so many good people in this industry, and that's what it is. Man. You whether you find out about it or not, like it's almost like they're good-hearted even to get into it, but then you even realize like, well, now I know why they're in this, and that's what I said. You don't find it's hard to find a bad relationship from bowling.
Yeah.
Johnny can think of one, but we won't touch on that. But
No, I can.
yeah.
Sullivan, is that what it is? Or no? Wait, who?
Sean Rash. Sean Rash.
No, I actually appreciate everything that Sean does.
Okay.
My personal issue with one thing that
Bad
happened in
relationship
our
with him.
entire friendship for a long time. Okay, maybe I was a dick for a little while, but no.
Maybe.
Sean, you want to talk about somebody who gives to kids and goes out of his way to take care of people?
He does. Yeah.
I mean, Sean's second to none.
I think if you want to know about Sean, if you've ever met his mom and dad,
his mom, Diana, gave me literally an entire reindeer from Alaska, like reindeer meat.
Mm-hmm.
She packaged it. She told me how to cook it. Jean has the Rash family is a fantastic one. I had the pleasure of bowling with Sarah when her maiden name was Galandes, not Rash. I mean, that whole family is second to none.
I'm glad you moved past that, John.
And all that shit for one thing that happened.
Great.
Yeah, okay. Just like anybody else, I let my emotions get the best of me once, but I will never say another bad thing about Sean.
Well, I'm glad I brought that up because
I can say that I hate how much credit Brad Miller gets, but I still like Brad.
You know what?
We could go there again, like we do on every show. But
I agree with that. I'm on that page. I'm on that. Yeah.
We love Brad Miller. I mean, look, Brad and Kyle have a great channel. Which is Johnny just thinks he's very, very bland and very boring to watch bowl. That's the whole point of contention, I think, right, Johnny?
You were talking to me?
Yeah. Your name's Johnny, right?
Silence Ocho in the kitchen.
Oh.
Say it again.
I said it's not that you don't like Brad. You just think he's fucking like watching paint dry.
I don't think that either.
What was your point of contention then? I don't remember.
Okay, here's my point of contention. The Olympic Committee chose to omit Caitlin Clark from the basketball team.
Sure.
To me, that's as gross as trying to promote a mediocre player in a world of amazing people. So when I talk about Brad, like I like Brad. I like the way Brad bowls. I like the way Brad grinds. I don't like the appreciation he gets from the commissioner for doing nothing.
That makes
He's
sense.
done as much as me in the sport. Maybe a little bit more than me because I suck. Like I'm like the worst when it comes to that. But no, don't talk about Brad Miller like that. I just
let's just open it all up. Let's just start on the table. What do you think of Darren Tang and his YouTube channel, Johnny?
I think Darren Tang is not only a great person, just like Brad Miller. I'm going to say that again for anybody that wants to. Yo, Johnny's talking about you on his fucking. No, he's not. He's fucking going to kick your ass too if you say anything. Darren Tang, like I've said in the past, is progressive and awesome, talented, and amazing at what he does. Just like Louis Napolis, who most people don't even know. I mean, in the
Johnny's laying the smackdown. There's some noise going on in the background.
Sorry, there's too much things going on with the ice maker and all this other shit, and it happens to be 10 feet in front of me while I look at the camera, and I can see everything else. And I knew this would happen around this time. I actually prepped for it, which is why I'm so cool about it. But no,
I'm just busting your balls.
Beef and Barnsley attracts so many people that want to learn and understand the game.
True.
The same way Sweep the Rack does with Big Mike and Rob P. I mean, like, I appreciate anybody that actually wants to contribute something to this sport. My entire life is based off of what my dad has done in the sport of bowling. Yeah. Why do you think I fucking appreciate bowlers so goddamn much, dude? I mean, that's
true story. It's a true story. We contribute nothing, however, at all.
Rob, you got to do me a favor. See this guy over here, Norman Adams?
Yes. Hello, Norman.
I'm speaking only to you, Norm. Before I interrupt our guest again, I fucking love you, dude. I miss you so much. And I miss Vegas as well. Take care of that family. Love you, dude.
Before we let Ryan go, I pulled up your jerseys from your Facebook page because
let's do it.
I'm a diligent worker here, and these are some of the ones we were talking about earlier. There's the monkey fucking the football. And if you guys are on the audio podcast when this drops, you'll have to check us out on YouTube. Here is the
the crack of a fly's ass.
Crack of a fly's ass. Here's another angle of that one.
Yeah.
That's that's good shit. Let's see. Our next one. Oh, I start like a pig. Yep.
Yeah. That's the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Yep, Johnny mentioned that one earlier.
Yep.
Hold on. That's the fly again. That's
Troy's
Purple Hammer?
Yep.
That's fucking fantastic. I love that.
That's Troy's.
Yes, that's Troy's Purple Hammer.
That's Troy's Purple Hammer.
Is that the one he signed and gave to the Mike Marcus tournament with Steph and Eric?
I thought
Keep going.
Did I give him the clown jersey? I thought I gave him the clown jersey.
Not sure. What's up with the Abe Lincoln? What is
Abe Lincoln? Abe Lincoln, the lane pattern. Abe Lincoln.
Okay, gotcha.
And on the back of the Abe Lincoln is Geronimo. Jump off the cliff. You got the cliff.
Yeah, that won't offend anybody. I like that one too.
Yeah, that's the guy kicking the rack.
This one is my all-time. Actually, this is my all-time favorite.
See now, the PBA doesn't think I have any discretion. I didn't try to get this jersey approved. I just wear that in league.
Is Troy still here? Because this is fucking fantastic.
He never noticed the lane with the big second arrow on the left. He didn't.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That is my new favorite. Ryan
I've never seen this.
I haven't either. There's the phone booth that you mentioned, handcuffed to the phone booth. Breaking the
golf club.
Yeah, I like that one. The fire one we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, this is the Dirt Devil.
That's right.
That looks like a slot machine.
It does.
Like
I can't
Double Devil or something like that.
Trademark, but no, I mean,
love that slot machine and every other one.
Here's the aforementioned Monopoly
That's my
shirt.
favorite. That one's awesome.
Yeah.
And I never looked at all.
What's on the back of that one, Ryan?
It's just
fuck yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
What does it say under go? It doesn't say
collect check.
Yeah, collect check.
Dude, that Troy one is. Hold on, where
like the
look at Tony's. Look at Tony's.
Oh, they have you know how in the Monopoly they have like the tax thing. I put fine for kicking the rat.
Okay, I all right. I understand that one. Tony Campagna said
another badass lefty.
Sad
First
part.
time I ever saw that man bowl right there. Tony Campagna was at, I want to say, it was Garden State Lane Sunday morning 9 a.m. league, where it's like tens of thousands of dollars inside action. He was on my pair throwing. Tony, this is how fucking stupid my brain is.
God.
You were throwing a Renegade, I think, by Columbia, like a light teal ball, and you whacked the shit out of me. I was throwing a fucking buzzsaw C-square from lane 1. And a cherry bomb. That's stupid, Rob.
Johnny remembers all that. Yes.
Tony bought great senior masters.
Drink Coca-Cola, guys.
Yeah, he did.
Tony's badass, man. Always has been. Great physical game. Always. Just like Walter, man. Never, ever, ever quits on a shot. Just goes for it.
Can you try to get that Troy jersey approved? Just ask Tom. Just for shits and giggles. Just to see what he says. I would love if you could just fucking record. If you could just record that, and I think I need one of those made because that is the greatest jersey I've ever seen in my life.
I thought it was great.
Pretty fabulous.
So fucking good.
I got Jeff Johnson one. Jeff Johnson bowls the senior tour. He's the ball rep. So I got Jeff one, and it says ball rep on the sleeve. I sent it to his house. He didn't know it was coming. And he opened up his jersey order, and he says, I didn't order a pink jersey. He opened it up, and he saw it, and he's like, what the hell is this? So he's going to wear it when Troy makes a TV show, and he's got a rep.
That is so good.
Ryan, last night, I'm gonna tell our fans this, a great story about Jeff Johnson. Dad was talking to me about how much Jeff is underlooked with what he does on the senior tour as the rep for all the brands. But apparently he bought a Buick, like a brand new Buick, and everybody was busting his chops like, hey, you're officially an old man. Like, now you own a Buick. Telling me the story literally last night about Jeff Johnson. Apparently that week they got everybody on the pair for the Pro-Am to all bust Jeff's chops about buying a Buick. And he sold it like 6 months later. He finally gave up.
No, I knew about the Buick, but I never busted him about it.
Something about his Buick. Rob, what else you got for our
our Hall of Fame guest. What do you got here?
No, that's it. We're over time here.
Of course you do, Chuck. Of course you do.
Time flew by. I didn't even realize we've been out for an hour and a half. But no, I think we're good. Ryan, dude, we absolutely love having you on. We love you as a person. We love what you've done for our sport, and we love you. I'm serious. We love you for that jersey. I'm just saying that you can never unsee that, and I'm gonna order one of those from Chameleon because I need to have just to hang it up on my wall. I don't even want to wear it. I just want
That's right.
I just want to frame it and just look at it every day. But no, man, we appreciate you coming back on here again and being open and honest and candid about the sport we all love. It's you say a lot about ambassadors like Johnny's dad and other guys, but I mean you're still an ambassador for the game and you tell it like it is, and that's what we always appreciate about you.
I appreciate that. I love you guys. I think you do a great job. Troy got me hooked on your show, so hey.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure having you here, Pops. I'm going to call you Pops because I've been admiring you for literally 30 years. So I never actually want to hang up with him.
I know.
This is so cool. So thank you so much on behalf of Ocho as well, who's taking care of good old Gabriella as he always does.
Yeah, he's a good dad. Thanks again, Ryan. We appreciate it, buddy. We'd love to have you on again in the future. And as always, we stay in touch with you and just thanks for being awesome, dude.
All right, guys. Anytime. Thanks.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
Jonathan, always a pleasure.
My imbecile of the week is the omission of Caitlin Clark by the Olympic Committee.
How can you do that?
I don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
That's they also got rid of the number 2 trick too, scoring in the league as well.
Yes.
And
I agree.
It's gross to me. That's my imbecile. I'm going to watch the imbecile of the week from outside and probably message because I'm going to pass the torch to Ocho for like 5 minutes because I'm dying for a cigarette. And here's to everybody back home. Don't smoke. I swear to God, I wake up every day with problems in here. Just don't do it. I still do it. I'm a fucking idiot. You shouldn't. I'm going to pass the torch to Ocho. Give us the imbecile of the week.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
There are a lot of stupid people in this world. And this one is near and dear to my own heart, just to stay on the sports theme. If you don't know, a lot of you people probably aren't Patriots fans or Tom Brady fans, but tonight, as we're recording this, is the Patriots Hall of Fame induction for TB12, the GOAT, Tom Brady. And I was watching a little bit of the pregame festivities on the Patriots YouTube channel. And formerly growing up in Connecticut, I'm a lifelong Patriots fan. An unprecedented 20-year run of dominance in football. And John Bon Jovi was there. Bill Burr was there. John Cena was there, for fuck's sake. He kicked off the festivities. There was a lot of big names and never had a ceremony like that for all the rest of his teammates, but literally like rolled out the red carpet for everybody. So they posted on their Facebook page today of instructions of what to do because of all the traffic and all the people that are going to be there and all that. Let me see if I can find that. I have too many things open here. Yeah, here we go. Of course, I had to post my comment that thank you for everything you've done, Tom Brady. Thankful to watch you win 7 total. Thankful that my 5-year-old daughter learned to love you and see you win number 7. She still says, I miss Tom Brady. And she calls the Buccaneers the Pirates because, I mean, she's 5, so she doesn't know anything. But she says, I wish he can come back and still play again for the Pirates. And then this fucking douchebag here, Scott Morton. He's a cheat. Ocho, being a Steelers fan, obviously we talked about it earlier. You're also an aficionado of the game. You know more about football than most people know. You've been on the other end for a lot of those Tom Brady defeats. And I know you're objective. If he was a cheat, he wouldn't have 7 rings with 2 different teams. One of them being directly after leaving his his whole career-long team
That
to go
doesn't
to
mean he
Tampa
couldn't be a
Bay.
cheat.
What?
In the 2001 AFC Championship game, again, we had Cordell Stewart. They had Tom. Well, Tom Brady got knocked out in the second quarter, and then here comes Drew Bledsoe, who was actually should have been their MVP that year. So Hines Ward was saying it's like they're in the huddle. This is weird. That was the beginning stages of the Spygate thing.
Right.
The guy almost admitted he cheated with the whole cell phone smashing. Doesn't mean he ain't still the best. That's the problem. And that's why they did a roast about him. There ain't going to be any Aaron Rodgers roasts. There definitely ain't going to be any Trent Dilfer roasts anytime soon.
Nope.
Even the Joe Montana roast, actually, because he was a classy guy. That's probably why you can't roast him. However, he's still the best damn quarterback, especially for a 6th-round draft pick. Of course I know all these things. I know the 2004, I don't think they cheated. I don't think they cheated at all in the 2004 AFC Championship game because the Steelers had dialed back their playbook so bad because it was Ben's rookie year. They threw safe plays and the Patriots went at him. That was simple. And then, honestly,
2006
the
against the Panthers.
thing, what else do you have to both teams had to throw the balls.
Right.
So
then he came back the next season and won the Super Bowl. So, fuck him. Dude, they ran for 200 yards. Hold on.
And again, they would have had to find him cheating every single year, which they didn't.
Right.
I hate the guy, and I don't hate the guy because we'll never see anything like this ever again in our history's existence, and as well with your life especially, but with most people who are going to live like a normal life, we'll never see that ever again.
Dude, they ran for 250 yards.
He had borderline 3 dynasties.
Borderline. Dude, that game against Baltimore, they ran for like 250 yards at halftime. And you're going to blame the fucking footballs. How about your shitty defense?
Well, which game are you talking about?
Wasn't it the Deflate game against
the Colts?
No, you're right, against the Colts. I'm sorry. They ran for two. Shut the fuck up. The week after they beat the Ravens. I'm old, dude. I have diabetes brain.
Yeah, but wasn't
they
that
ran for 200 something yards.
How they beat the Ravens? It was like a pass interference in the end zone that they should have been called. Anyway, that's fine. They got the rest in their pockets. If you breathe on Tom Brady, all right. There was a rookie linebacker, Richardson, and then now again, he's not only was a rookie, but he's now retired. This is how long ago it was, and a ref gave him. He's like, "Hey man, we gotta watch yourself." And he's like, "Wait a second, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to." He's like, "Don't get too close, so you get a penalty." And he's like, "I'm a rookie, and I'm gonna get a penalty for getting too close to Tom Brady." He's like, "This is the God's honest truth." Everybody, fact check me, look it up. I promise you, it's the truth. It's Richardson, but either way,
it's the Jordan rule, dude. It's the same thing for Jordan.
It doesn't mean he ain't the best of all time. That's the problem. Because you can't disprove the actual stats.
You can't come back 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
That's not a fake. That's not. You can cheat all you want. They probably did, but still, even cheating from that is bad. So, no, he's got too many things, and that's what's fun about it too. Like the debate is so much better with all this stuff. Really, when you think about it.
Agreed.
Because without it, it's just like, wow, this guy who missed the mark so bad that he was that far off that he's a 6th-round draft choice.
No shit.
And he became the greatest quarterback of all time. You're better off using that because at least scouts are like, well, I knew he wasn't that good. He must have had to do that to do it.
Meanwhile, you got the Colts. You got the Colts sucking for luck, and they suck. Jamarcus Russell, first overall sucked. You can go down the ladder.
What are you putting at 8? Remember when they were like, "Hey, did you study the playbook?" And he'd be like, "Yeah," and he didn't.
Ocho Cinco
for the Raiders.
Ocho Cinco could not get the Patriots playbook, so he pretty much sat out the rest of that year. And he self-admittedly couldn't. He
no,
couldn't.
For sure.
Anyways, but no,
that's not the point. The point is, it's a bowling podcast, and I know everything about everything but bowling. But I got these.
That's true.
And follow me on Twitter at wherever Rob says we are.
At the Dr Ocho. I am at Rad Rob Gaming. JP is at JPJR07. You can follow us on X as well on the show page at Straight Up 5 Pod. That's straight up the number 5 pod. You can email us. Not that I check them. according to Chuck Ritchie. I still don't check my emails, but you can email us at straightup5podcast@gmail.com. That's straight up 5, the number 5, straight up 5 podcast at gmail.com. We're also on Instagram, straight up 5 podcast. Those of you watching on my Facebook page or Johnny's Facebook page or our YouTube or Twitter pages, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, straight up 5 podcast. And we love everybody that watches us each and every week. Yes, Nico, I know I need to check my emails. I really do. I mean, to be honest, you guys don't email us. So I mean, if you start emailing us, maybe I will. I'm gonna put the onus on you. Fuck you guys. Don't blame me for not checking emails. I'm gonna blame you assholes for not emailing us. That's why I don't check it. So there you go.
Hey, no, Rob's usually good about checking emails from like 2018. So
you're such a dick.
Just saying.
Right. For Johnny Petraglia Jr. and this masked dictator, the Ocho, the largest arms in the world, who hasn't worked out since COVID. We appreciate you guys every week. We have a very special guest. I can't let the cat out of the bag because it's not official yet.
We don't have a guest next week. We might not even have one. You don't even know.
I just want to tease it so they can come back and see who the winner is, or who the special guest is, because he may or not have won the tour finals. I'm just saying, but you can do your own due diligence from there. Guys, we love you. We love Ryan Shafer for showing up and for making the greatest jersey of all time. I got to throw that up one more time before we leave because it is the greatest jersey ever. Ocho, did you even see that? I don't think you did see it. Okay. You weren't on camera, but yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. Doc Sullivan, go fuck yourself. Ocho, just keep being you, buddy. You're muted. Can you say goodbye? Just don't put the